You know how with so many comedy movies these days, you go to it, and then it's just supposed to be hilarious, and then you're like, this isn't funny. Well, that's the case with most comedy movies nowadays, but there are those few that still are funny. So, 50 Shades of Black. Now, 50 Shades of Black is basically a comedic parody of that movie, 50 Shades of Grey, which I believe 50 Shades of Grey had a lot of influence from the Twilight fan base, stuff like that, but anyway, critics bombed 50 Shades of Grey, and therefore a lot of people will hate it just because they did, just because they want to be cool, but the whole point of this channel is I don't care if I'm one of the cool people. If I agree with the critics, I'll admit it. If I don't agree with the critics, I will tell exactly why I think the critics got the movie wrong. And in this case, it looks like we finally found a movie that the critics, they get the thumbs down, not the movie. So, as far as 50 Shades of Black, like a lot of people were being like, oh, this movie's stupid, it's just a lot of jokes that aren't funny, and it was terrible. It was like, I hated it. You know, when I went to it, there were hardly any people there, and like a few of the people who were like sitting right behind me, I noticed that they just got up and left after about 30 minutes of the movie or so, but I don't know why. As for me, when I was watching this movie, I was just cracking up the whole time. Now, of course, whenever you go to a comedic parody of a movie, it is always good to see the original. Anyway, I remember 50 Shades of Grey well, and like a lot of the way they parodied that movie, it was pretty funny in my opinion. I thought a lot of the jokes were good, but then again, like, you know, as for me, part of the reason I thought this movie was very funny was mainly because I just tend to enjoy comedic parodies of movies. I thought The Starving Games was hilarious, and although I don't go to many horror movies, like almost every movie in the Scary Movie franchise, I have just cracked up on. And as for the case, just like most comedy parodies I have seen, 50 Shades of Black was hilarious in my opinion. It's just kind of like when she's going up Mr. Grey, or in this case Mr. Black's elevator, and like in 50 Shades of Grey when he takes her on the helicopter, and he's like, you're in for a big treat, and she's like, oh what, I'm going on your helicopter? And he's like, no! They're like going on the bus. I don't know, it's just stuff like that. I thought it was just really funny, super hilarious. I just kept laughing and laughing and laughing. Now, of course, a lot of people say a lot of the jokes weren't funny, were just stupid, and I will agree, there were some stupid jokes, kind of like whoever played, like, I think, instead of Anna Steele, it was like Hannah, that was the name of like the girl in the movie, like her roommate. The thing is, her roommate was just like this girl who was always like just making all these really dirty, raunchy jokes, and that, like, I really didn't find funny. That's pretty much what I found stupid. So then again, that's why I don't find a lot of comedy movies funny nowadays, because it's all just a bunch of just like cheap, raunchy humor. And this, yeah, of course it did have some raunchiness, but not all kinds of raunchiness are stupid in my opinion. If it's well thought out, and like it's just something you're like, oh, that's a good idea, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna find it funny, or at the least I'm gonna give it to you like, man, you know, that was kind of clever, I would not have thought of that. I really have no idea why a lot of people thought this movie was stupid. It makes no sense to me. Me personally, I thought it was hilarious, and I'm going to give 50 Shades of Black a 71%. Now, compare that to the critics' average of roughly about 24% for this movie. What do you know? Critics, you have failed. Yes. We got one, people. We got one. And if you're like, well, that movie was stupid, I mean, the critics know best, I mean, those people at Rotten Tomatoes, they're the ones to listen to. Go fuck yourself. Seriously? Okay? I'm interested to hear what they have to say, but I don't worship them. They are not You're not my leader. I'm not going to do what they tell me to do, okay? If the critics bomb a movie and it looks interesting to me, I will give it a chance. And if I don't necessarily agree with the critics or the crowds or whoever the hell watches the movie and disagrees with me, whoever the hell watches the movie and shares the same opinion on it, and I don't happen to share that same opinion, I don't really care. I'm going to speak my mind, I'm going to speak my true opinion of the movie, and that is the primary reason I started this channel. So, anyway, did you see 50 Shades of Black? And I'm assuming you didn't, because that movie has made like nothing on the box office, but really, seriously, if you've seen 50 Shades of Grey, and, I mean, if you're like a big fan of the movie, you're a big Twilight fan, you know, you're like into, you know, rom-coms, that kind of stuff, and you don't want to see people make fun of 50 Shades of Grey, don't go to it. But if, say, you've seen 50 Shades of Grey, and you weren't big on it, and you just want to see how they make fun of it, I say go to this, man. There is a 50% chance you won't be disappointed, but please, give it a chance. If you don't like it, at least you gave it a chance, and I could salute you for that, maybe, or maybe not. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next movie review. Goodbye.